me today. So personality patterns are designs inspired by the interests and personalities of 4 different women. I took inspiration from each woman and incorporated them into each design. The designs were then digitally printed and sewn into skirts to focus on expression through fashion. In this project, I was the designer and the seamstress, and I interviewed Tyler, Heather, Irene, and Becca to be the inspirations for each skirt. So the idea for this project was inspired by a friend of mine who would come to my room with fabric, thread, and a zipper and ask me to make her a skirt. The fabric would have patterns of flowers, movies, comic books, all things she liked or that she felt represented her. And I began to wonder, what if there was a pattern that very literally represented her? A pattern that consisted of things she liked and valued. Thus, Personality Patterns was born. When deciding who I wanted to be the inspiration for each skirt, I knew I didn't want it to be random. I wanted to represent 4 different kinds of women. A girl boss, a trans woman, a woman of color, and a female athlete. With these women, I found 4 unique personalities and perspectives on the world. After I decided what my project was going to be, I did some research to see if somebody had done a similar project. And my mentor showed me the Imagine One World Kimono project. It's a project that sets out to create kimonos inspired by 196 different countries, all while sticking to the traditional design style of kimonos. So I took this idea of cohesiveness in style and applied it to my project by creating skirts that were unique and inspired but with similar structures. Now, how did I do it? Well, after identifying who would fit each role, I set up interviews with each woman. I first asked general questions like, what's your favorite color? What music are you listening to? Seen any good movies lately? And then I asked a series of 4 interview questions to get to really get in there and know them in the 45 minutes I had. So I asked, how would you describe yourself? What is your biggest accomplishment? What is your dream job? And who is your personal hero? I then took inspiration from each interview, created the elements for each design, and assembled a pattern using Adobe Illustrator. Once the designs were complete, all that was left to do was print, sew, and present. I digitally printed the designs using a giant printer and a roll of fabric. It prints like you would a piece of paper. And then I took the fabric home, cut it up, and sewed it together. The skirts were then hung in the Hand Art Center for the Platinum Collective Digital Art Senior Exhibition. I will now show you a photo of each skirt and explain the meanings and inspirations behind each one. So Tyler is our girl boss. In this skirt, I used elements to represent her 2 loves, fashion and travel. The sketches of the 2 women here are actually inspired by Vogue magazine covers, and Tyler talked about how Anna Wintour is somebody who she admires. The simplistic, clean lines represent Tyler's chic and minimalistic values. And I used multiple colors in this skirt to show how Tyler is involved in so much and stands out in each one while still staying true to herself. Heather is our trans woman. I wanted to represent Heather's love of aviation and flying by including planes in this pattern. Along with her love of planes, Heather is passionate about reducing the stigma of mental health. So I used the clouds to represent how cloudy our minds can actually be. When describing herself, she said that she used to be more introverted, but when she came out as trans, she finally started to be herself and was more confident and outgoing. So I used the sun to demonstrate that positive change in her confidence. Irene is our woman of color. For this skirt, I used various gems and geometric shapes to represent her personal style, as well as how unique and passionate Irene is. I included a geometric fist to showcase her values on social justice and standing up for what's right. One of the most personal elements in this skirt is Irene's hair. I wanted to include the shape of her hair because it's just as unique as she is, and it's very much a part of her personal style and how she sees herself. Lastly, Becca is our female athlete. During my interview with Becca, I learned that she's very entrepreneurial and creative, so I used the traditional idea of a light bulb and a kind of abstract drawing of a brain to represent these qualities. Becca plays soccer, and while that isn't a dominating trait of her personality, I wanted to incorporate the hexagons that are found on soccer balls into the design. For this skirt, I also included drawings of Amaryllis and Gladiolus, which are two flowers that represent worth beyond beauty and strength of character. I chose these flowers to demonstrate Becca's values on being strong and independent. Ultimately, we use the clothes we wear to express ourselves, and I created fabric patterns that did just that. Personal patterns took the traditional idea of expressing oneself through the clothes they wear, and instead made clothes that represented an individual person. Thank you.
Questions for Taylor?
Yeah, each of the skirts represents, has its own style, and the iconography on each has its own line weight and style and colorization. Did you create all of the icons yourself, or is it a collection of art that you found elsewhere?
I created the icons myself. I did research some things just to, to know how to draw an airplane, because that's a little difficult. But ultimately, I did create each one in Illustrator myself.
I'm not as plugged in as I used to be. Can you tell me what a girl boss is?
A girl boss is kind of this movement that like women can do anything in the business world that men can do, because sometimes there is some disconnects there. So it's really just someone who owns everything, is really like professional, on top of things, organized, kind of like really confident in herself.
I love that you use the antique vintage wooden hangers. Is there symbolic meaning to that?
Is there symbolic meaning to it? I thought it looked better than plastic. Yes.
Would you be able to explain your choice for the style of skirt that you?
Yeah.
So originally I wanted to make a circle skirt because I knew how to make one of those. But when designing, it proved to be a little bit more difficult to design in a circle. So I found these are actually rectangle skirts. So you just design, it's literally a rectangle, and then you just bunch it up at the top. Because I knew that I wanted to make skirts, so I just had to change which one. So this proved to be a lot easier than what I originally wanted to do.
Okay, so I'm looking at these and I'm like, hello, Etsy. So is this something that you're planning on continuing doing, either like professionally, something in fashion, or potentially, because I know you have an entrepreneur minor, is this something that you're going to maybe start your own personal business with?
That's a question I get a lot. People are like, why are you not doing fashion? Because I literally went to a costume party the other day that was Space Jam themed, and I made my own pair of shorts. That's a normal thing. I do it because it's fun for me. I really enjoy sewing and making clothing, and sometimes it's a lot easier to just make your own clothes than to buy them. So I don't think I ever want to do it professionally, because I'm scared that the fun and love will be out of it if someone else is telling me how to do it. So I have other interests that I want to do for like an actual career. Yes.
Yeah, so would any of your interviewees wear the skirts?
Yes, actually. Tyler, my girl boss, has actually asked me for it. It's not in her size because she's small, and this is a 32-inch waist. So we're talking about that. Irene, I know, would not, just because she doesn't wear skirts, but she has asked for a panel of fabric so she could put it on the back of a jacket. And then I haven't seen Heather. She didn't come with me to the thing, so I don't know, but I'm sure maybe, possibly. And then Becca said she would wear it as well. So, yes, would wear it.
Awesome.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask another question related to your entrepreneurship background. If you're not going to go into business on this, have you at least done an analysis of like what you could get the price point to if you were to try to scale this?
If I were to scale,
this is a lot of
how much I
individual
would
work for each thing.
So how much one of these would cost?
Well, like, yeah, what price point do you think you could get to if you were to scale this up as a business?
Like what I would sell them
Yeah.
for? Okay, so I have done some research on that because I've tried to buy skirts from Etsy. Those ones are typically, though, just like Disney patterns that people make into a skirt, so it's a little bit less work. So to figure out the pricing, it would be like, how much do I want to pay myself per hour? And then also for like design time, as well as assembly time, and then also paying for the resources. And I think just for time, it was around $100 maybe up, because I was like $10 per hour sounds cool, but I could also do more. That's like lowballing it, and then to cover. So it would probably be somewhere between $150 to $200 to buy one of these skirts, and that's like lowballing it. So.
So you found a commercial digital fabric printer locally?
The digital arts department actually has a giant printer that we use to print photos, to print like posters and things. So they actually make rolls of fabric. So it's fabric, and then it's like this plasticky paper stuff. And so you print on that, and then you peel it apart to get the fabric. So we just had that as a digital arts department.
Did they already have the fabric?
No, we had to buy the
Yeah.
fabric. The fabric was, I don't remember how much it cost,
But you had to buy a roll.
yes, had to
Yeah.
buy. We actually buy 2 rolls.
Yeah, pricey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can get a little expensive.
So Etsy, right, if this were to become like a project, would you consider talking with people about the skirt style as well? Right, so not only the pattern, but also, you know, a pencil skirt, a circle skirt, a flare skirt. Like, would you ever consider sort of changing the style of the skirt or making shorts?
Like for these or just in general?
In general, for your future business that we're planning for you.
I have a whole book that has a whole bunch of dress patterns and skirt patterns and things like that, and I just haven't had time to make things. It's more if somebody comes to me and says, "Hi, make this," hence my friend who came to my room with a zipper thread and fabric, that I do it, and then I just do it for me. But I'm sure my thing with opening an Etsy store is, I'm like, then you have to have inventory, and that's just a lot of work. And then what if it doesn't sell? If somebody else wanted to manage it for me and just said, "Hey, make this," then I would do Yes.
Given how personalized the skirts are, was there much of a back and forth between the interviewees about, you know, this is supposed to represent you, and they said, okay, I feel I would more have this on it, things like that? Like, how did that conversation go?
So, Irene's skirt actually was the first one that I did, and it went through about 20 different renditions of it because I made it, and then I didn't like it, and then I made it, and I didn't like it, and then I liked it. And her I talked with a little bit, but then I kind of just did it without talking to them. And they all said they liked them, so I guess I didn't really need to converse that. But I liked the idea of not really having their input because it's supposed to be about how you express yourself to other people. Like, it is a little bit about who you are, but it's also more of like what you portray.